All right, everyone, welcome back. So in today's video, we are going to be covering my MEPS experience. Now, my MEPS experience was before COVID, so this information may be a little outdated or maybe merged with a little bit of the new information going on now. I don't know exactly how it is now. I'm gonna figure that out once I leave, and that'll be a video hopefully in the future. So I left my recruiter's office to go up to the MEPS station probably around 11 o'clock noon area. And my MEPS station originally was in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It was at the Harrisburg MEPS Center. And I went there and checked in, and you went through a screening, you went through the x-ray machine and everything. And then you checked in, and I had to take my Asvab. Now, if you don't know what the Asvab is, it's basically the test that qualifies you for your jobs. It's like a 300 question test. You have 3 hours to do it. So I took that test, and then I think I got probably around a 62, 63 on it, so not too bad. And then I went to the hotel that night. Now, for dinner, you have like an hour and a half to 2 hours to eat, and then you go back to your room. If you're lucky, and of course, remember this was pre-COVID, so I don't think they do this anymore, but if you're lucky, you have a roommate. So I had a roommate, a guy who's actually shipping the next day for the Navy, which was really cool, and I got to talk to him a little bit. And then wake up call the next morning was 4 o'clock. And so he said, I want to sleep in as long as I can. And so we put on my alarm for 4:01. Yeah, we were being really smart for 4:01. Breakfast was at 5, or the breakfast brief was at 5, but then they ended up, since most people were down there early in the little lounge area or whatever for breakfast, around 4:35 to 4:40-ish. They were finishing up the breakfast brief as we got down there because they said they were going to start at 5, not at 4:45. But anyway, so we had breakfast, and then I think we ended up, we had like an hour to eat, and then, or an hour and a half to eat or something like that, and then we had to be at the MEPS station by 6 a.m. Either that or the first medical briefing was at 6 a.m. I can't remember because this was all the way back in September of 2019. But we had like our first medical brief at like 6, 7 a.m., something like that. And then all day was all medical testing, was blood draws, physical exams. We had to do like duck walks and stuff like that to show at least a little bit of the flexibility, like in our legs and our arms and stuff like that. It was really weird. They check your height and your weight, and they actually told me that I was too skinny when I enlisted. So right now I'm 5'11", 146 pounds. Back in September of 2019, I was 5'10 and a half or 5'10 and 134 pounds. Now, I'm not quite sure what the regulations are, but I was like right on the border between ineligible and eligible. And he said, you are way too skinny, you will not pass. And I respectfully said, because you have to be very respectful when you're at the MEPS station. If you don't, you're not gonna get very far. You have to be very respectful when you're at the MEPS station, especially to medical. So I said, respectfully, I checked the Air Force website before I came, I okayed it with my recruiter, and even he said that I was okay. And he started dogging on my recruiter and saying, you know, like, your recruiter just wants to get you passed through, but I'm guaranteeing you're not going to pass. And I said, well, please check the Air Force website and let me know, because that's gonna be very disappointing. And he just said, yeah, just go and sit down. And I'm like, okay. So I went and sat down, and it was probably about 15 minutes later of me just sitting there that he yelled, Brown! I'm like, yes, sir? And he goes, your BMI checked out, don't lose any weight. And I'm like, yes. So I was right in the end that I was eligible. But anyway, and then I got through all the medical. I was one of the first people into medical, and in my experience, if you were one of the first people in, you're going to be one of the or in the first group in, I'm sorry, you're going to be one of the first groups out. And so I was one of the first groups into medical. There were some people that went in there like right after me, and they got out 3 hours later because they got stuck in their lunch breaks and everything like that. So they got stuck in there, and they watched movies in there on the TV. But anyway, my advice would be try to be in the first group in, so you're one of the first groups out. But once I got out, I went and talked to my liaison, got a contract, signed a little bit, or at least the general paperwork, got my job picked out or stuff like that. And then I swore in probably around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then as soon as I swore in, I signed my final contract and went home. Or signed my final contract before I swore in. Either one of those two. Like I said, it's a little blurry, because I did do this back in September of 2019. But then I went home. When you sign your initial contract at MEPS, you swear into the delayed entry program if you're not shipping out that day. And I've been in the delayed entry program since September 5th of 2019.